Okay. Good evening, everyone. This is CA Dharmi, Kenya. Uh, Let me give a gist of today's VCM. This is the 11th virtual committee meeting for women and by the women. Our first session is on recent amendments in ITR for non-corporate assessees, which is to be led by C. Hinal Surya. And the second session is about developing multitasking skills, which is to be taken over by CM Ruchi Maheshwari. So let me take this honor to introduce our first speaker today for recent amendments in ITR for non-corporate assessee. C. Hinal Surya holds a double graduate degree in BCom and LLB and also a double postgraduate, that is MCom and CA. She is also a CFP USA certified. Post qualification, she started working in ENY, which is one of the big fours, and after gaining a rich experience in ENY, she joined IPG, that is Interpublic Group, as a tax team leader, India, which is also one of the big fours in media industry. Post that, she began her entrepreneurship journey and started her own CA firm in the name of Hinal Surya and Associates. She is working as a CA since almost a decade and specializes in tax and finance field. She regularly takes lectures on TDS, GST in various WISC and other corporate forums and also study circles. She is a regular contributor to various articles and newsletters. With this brief introduction, let us all welcome our today's first speaker, C. Hinal Surya. Thank you.
Thank you, Dharmi. I'll just share the screen. So let's start with the presentation. So I have taken all the material from this presentation. I have taken it from the CPT notification number 21-022 dated 30th March 2020. So since my topic is related to the ITR returns for non-corporate assessees, I have jotted down around 15 points that I would like to discuss today. And in case if if you have any questions relating to this topic or any other topic, we can address it at the end of the PPT. So I just noted down a few key changes that we are going to discuss today. There is we are going to discuss about the schedule foreign assets, schedule of capital gains, other sources, then disclosure in respect of significant economic presentations. There is another in the other sources, we are going to discuss about the provident fund. Then there is a new schedule which is introduced in the ITR for ESOPs. We are also going to discuss the limiting range of surcharge on dividend income, the exclusions of dividend income, like BPT, the BP provision has given just an exclusion of dividend income. So I just wanted to point that out. Then we're going to discuss about the sunset clause, disclosure of interest paid to deposit taking NBFCs. The next we're going to discuss about the exempt income and journal information, audit information, and residential status. So let's start with the first topic, schedule of foreign assets. So this schedule is applicable for ITR 2, 3, 5, and 6. So the important thing over here is that with respect to the foreign assets, what happens is, the accounting here changes. Like in India, we follow from 1st April to 31st March. However, most of the countries abroad follow a calendar year. That is, from 1st Jan to 31st March. So by the way of this amendment, or this disclosure basically, our government is trying to take into account the calendar year accounting. So basically, this is applicable to a resident assessee, only to a resident assessee who needs to disclose its foreign assets in Schedule FE. Now, this disclosure arises if the person had held them in the accounting period anytime during the relevant accounting period. So over here, the relevant accounting period will be calendar year and not the accounting period of the one which we follow in India. I have given an example over here. For example, Mr. X has acquired share of Google and sold it in February for the previous year, 2021. The relevant accounting period will be 1st Jan 2021 to 31st December 2022. Therefore, the transaction of purchase of shares falls in the relevant accounting period. Thus, Mr. A is required to report such foreign asset in ITR through the same and not held in the previous year. I have also in the new ITR forms, you will be able to see that they have replaced the expression accounting period with calendar year, that is ending on 31st December 2021. I have given one more example. Suppose in the calendar year 1st Jan to 31st 21, the date of purchase of Amazon US shares. First example is, suppose you have bought the shares on February 21, and second example is, suppose you have bought it 2022. Now, as you people are aware that we are following calendar system. So if you're following calendar system, it will be 1st Jan 21 to 31st December 21. So the first case, Feb 21, will fall in the current accounting year, and Feb 2022, although it is period, if you go by the accounting of India, it will fall in the current year, but since there is an amendment, that's why this will fall in the next year. So I have given a detailed explanation of the same, that how it will fall in the other. Now I have just taken a screenshot of the way it is shown in the new accounting, in the new IDR. This is the way they have framed the Schedule F financial assets, and you have to fill all these details like this. The next topic is schedule of capital gains. There is some additional disclosures that are required to be mentioned in the new ITR. This schedule of capital gains is applicable for ITR 2, 3, 5, and 6. Now, we are going to discuss about around 4 points, four additional disclosures that are required. The first one is date of purchase and sale of land and building. So earlier, we didn't have to mention the specific date of purchase and sale, but now you will have to mention this additional disclosure while you're filling the form. Second is disclosure of fair market value of capital assets and consideration received in lump sum slump sale transaction. So there has been an amendment in provision 50B via the Finance Act 2021. In case of a slump sale, the fair market value of the undertaking or division transfer shall be deemed as the full value of consideration received or accruing as a result of transfer of such capital asset. So in order to get this amendment in the ITR, there is an additional disclosure for this. Now, CBDT via notification number 68 dated 25th May 21 has inserted a new rule 11 UAE, which provides that the higher value of the following on the date of lump sum sale shall be deemed as the full value of consideration. Now, based on this CBDT notification, the new ITR forms have included like if you can see, they have included in the form that, this is the valuation. So we'll just discuss the what will be considered as a full value of consideration, either of these two. First is the fair market value of the capital asset transferred by the way of the slump sale. And second is the fair market value of the consideration received or accruing due to transfer by the way of slump sale. So whichever will be higher will be considered. And when you open your ITR forms, you will be able to see that, it is mentioned that the FEM has to be calculated as per the rule 11 UAE. The next is year-wise details of cost of improvement to land and building. Now, this is also something new in which you have to give year-wise details of cost of improvement, if any, that you have incurred on land or building. So, additional details, when you open the form, you will be, there is a column for cost of improvement, year of improvement, and cost of improvement with indexation. You will have to mention everything. Next is separate disclosure of cost of acquisition and index cost of acquisition. Earlier, the assessee was required to disclose only the index cost of acquisition for property transfer. Now, as per the new rule, ITR form assessee is required to mention both the cost of acquisition also and the index cost of acquisition. So now you have to mention both the figures. The next topic we're going to discuss is the schedule of other sources. As you guys are aware, dividend income is taxable in the hands of the assessee. This particular schedule is applicable for ITR 2, 3, 5, and 6. Now, let's go through the definition of deemed dividend as per section 222E. Okay. So, dividend includes the following: any payment by way of loan or advance by a closely held company to a shareholder who is the beneficial owner of 10% or more. So, not only the dividend that is, the interim or the final dividend, but there is something called as deemed dividend, which is defined in section 2 clause 22E, which mentions that even if you get any payment via loan or advance by closely held company in which you hold more than 10% of the equity capital of the company. Second, to the concern in which the shareholder has a substantial interest is deemed to be dividend in the extent it is covered by accumulated profits, excluding the capitalized profit. So in case you have received some amount which falls under this, it will be deemed as dividend, and you'll have to pay tax accordingly. Now, until last year, there was no separate disclosure which was required for dividend income taxable under section 222E. But as per the new ITR, separate disclosure is required for such type of dividend. So, if you can see, dividend income other than here your normal dividends will go. And in this, dividend income under section 2, subsection 22E, the dividends, the deemed dividends will go. So you have to show the special, you have to show the disclosure separately for both the dividends. Next, we're going to discuss about disclosure in respect of significant economic precedents. Now, this is applicable to ITR 3, 5, and 6. And this is in case of only non-resident. So this particular change in the ITR is applicable only to non-residents. Later on, we'll be discussing the definitions of resident, non-resident, and ordinary resident. In the later part, I've covered those also, so we can discuss the non-resident thing over there. Now, due to the amendment in the Finance Act 2020, and as per the explanation 2A to section 911, it provides that significant economic presence of a non-resident in India shall constitute a business connection in India. So, as per the amendment, there are, in these two cases that we're going to discuss further, if you fall in any of these two cases, then the non-resident will be considered as a significant will be considered to have a significant economic presence.
नहीं बर्खास्त करवानो तेनो जो છે ને ગેમ પ્લાન એવું
I'm sorry, am I audible?
Correct.
Someone just give me a thumbs up so that I can continue.
પૈસા Hinal, you're audible. You can go ahead.
Audible, right? Yeah, so I'll just go ahead. Yeah, so we were talking about the two transactions under which a non-resident can be a significant economic can be considered to have a significant economic presence. The first is transaction in respect of any goods or services or properly carried out by non-resident with any person in India, including the provision of download of data or software in India, if the aggregate of his payments arising from such a transaction or transactions during the previous year exceeds 2 crore. So this is the first condition. And the second condition is systematic and continuous solicitation of business activities or engaging in interaction with 3 lakh users in India. So in case the non-resident falls under any of these two categories, they will be considered as a significant they will be considered to have a significant economic presence here, and you will have to file the you have to mention this in the ITR. So I've just given you a screenshot of you're supposed to just mention over here yes or no, and the 2 clauses that we spoke about. Now, the next schedule is relating to reporting of interest accrued on provident funds to which no exemption is available. This is applicable for ITR 2 and 3. So basically, there was an amendment in the section in finance. There's an amendment in section 10, 11 and 10, 12 through Finance Act 2021, where they have the provident fund, the investment that an individual makes, the contribution of individual is capped to 2,50,000, and in case if there is no contribution from the employer, then there is a cap of 5 lakhs. So in order to bring these 2 amendments in the ITR, this same capping has been followed. So in this respect, the EPO office issued one guideline clarification on 5th April 2022 regarding the matter and the calculation of deduction interest applicable. So basically anything which is above, if any person contributes more than 2,50,000 and whatever interest is accrued on that will be taxable in the hand of the individual. And like I said, in case if the employer does not contribute, then the upper limit will be 5 lakhs. So this is how the new form looks, where you're supposed to mention. You have to mention the interest accrued on contribution to provident fund to the extent taxable. So this is a new disclosure which you have to fulfill in the ITR. Now next is relating to tax deferred on ESOPs. Now this is again applicable for ITR 2 and 3. So basically ESOPs, as if everyone is aware, it's a sweat equity that is given to the employees by the company after fulfilling certain criteria that are there. So now an employee can defer the payment or deduction of tax in respect of shares allotted under ESOPs by eligible startups referred under section 81 AC. But now there are certain conditions, so there are 3 conditions that I mentioned, that, the tax can be deferred till what time. So the first is within, so we'll be seeing the 3 conditions, but along with this condition, there is one more, that the ESOPs within 14 days from the earliest of the following. So ये जो the 3 things that we're going to discuss, इसमें से जो भी first चीज होगी, उसके 14 days के अंदर the employee has to pay tax on the ESOPs. And just a practical thing that I want to share over here, many of the companies, what they do is that whenever the employee goes for ESOP, they deduct the TDS at that point of time only. Like, suppose if the employee is redeeming, say, 100 shares, whatever ESOPs he had, तो उसका जो भी फेयर मार्केट वैल्यू और ESOPs में डिफरेंस रहता है, उसमें जो टैक्स बनता है, the company usually takes it at that point only whenever the person redeems it. But in case the person does not redeem, then these things will apply after the expiry of 48 months from the end of the assessment year relevant to the financial year in which the ESOPs are allotted. So for example, if the ESOPs are allotted in 2020, so 2 years from that will be 2022. So 48 months, matlab 2 years tak you can defer it. Second is from the date of sale of shares allotted under the ESOPs. So the day when the ESOPs is basically allotted. Third is from the date the assessee ceases to be an employee of the organization. So har ek ESOPs mein there would be some conditions that in case the employee ceases to be the employee of the organization, then they'll have to pay tax on the ESOPs, or the ESOPs may even get, maybe the ESOPs he cannot take also, he would not be eligible. So depending on ये 3 में से जो भी first चीज होती है, 14 days from that the ESOPs will be taxable in the hands of the employer. So earlier all these things were not part of the ITR disclosures, but now you have to mention the entire details. So in the new ITR forms, they have inserted a new schedule, tax deferred on ESOPs. And the schedule seeks the following disclosure. So what all things are you supposed to mention in this new schedule? The amount of tax deferred in the ITR filed for assessment year 2021, the date of specified securities and the amount of tax attributable to such sale, the date on which he ceases to be an employee of the organization, the amount of tax payable in the current assessment year, and the balance amount of tax deferred to be carried forward to the next assessment year. So specifically, you have to give the figures for each and every. Now, since the maximum period for of 48 months from the end assessment year relevant to the financial year of which the ESOPs are allotted is yet not over, because suppose अगर 2021 में है तो 2 years खत्म नहीं हुआ है, the employee shall be liable to pay tax deferment in the assessment year 2021 in the and it can be carried on till 25-22. So now the new schedule has basically been inserted to keep a track of the amount of the tax deferment by the employee and the year it should be taxed. So this is the way how the schedule looks, where you have to mention all the details so that the government can keep a track whether you have paid proper tax on ESOPs or not. Now there is an amendment in schedule TTI limiting the rate of surcharge on dividend income. So now, as everyone is aware that dividend has been taxable due to the amendment in the Financial Act 2020, and it is taxable in the hands of the individual. There is another provision in which which limits the rate of surcharge on dividend income, only on the part of dividend income. So this clause is applicable for individual HUF, EOP, BOI, or AGP. The surcharge on the dividend income shall be levied at the rate of 10% if it exceeds 50 lakhs, but if it does not exceed 1 crore at the rate of 15. So in case if it exceeds 50 lakhs, it will be 10%. If it exceeds 1 crore, it will be 15%. So basically, just to make the amendments, there has been change in the schedule, and this is the way it looks. So you have to mention the whether 10% or 15% is applicable. So this is the additional disclosure that you have to give for dividend income. You can see the. Next, we're going to talk about the exclusion of dividend income from business and profession. So in the schedule of business and profession, there are specific exclusions that, what is not included in business and professions. So the government has added the dividend income also in those disclosures. So basically, what is the list that is not taxable under business and profession is house property, capital gains, other sources, section 55B, that is income from patent, and 115 BBG, income from transfer of carbon deeds. So in this entire list, one more thing is added, which is dividend. So I have just attached a screenshot so you can see salaries, house property, and dividend income. So this is not taxable in the capital gains. Sorry, in the business and professions. Sorry. Now, the next change is in the schedule 81A and 81B. Due to this changes is due to the change in the sunset clause. So if a assessee is deriving any profit from the eligible business, he can claim a deduction under 81A or 1B. There is specific sunset clause that are available in respect of each eligible business. So we have to first see whether the business is eligible under the section 80 IA or IB, and then we can apply the sunset clause. So due to the sunset date, the deduction under this section is not available for certain businesses like telecommunication service, cross-country natural gas distribution, multiplex, conventional center, etc. The new form has been amended to remove the rows allowing deduction under the above absolute provisions, because these are no longer in the sunset clause. So I just attached a picture in which these have been deleted. The next we're going to discuss about other information. Disclosure of interest paid to deposit taking NBFCs or systematically important non-deposit taking NBFCs. So section 43B specifies that certain expenditures are allowed as deduction only on actual payment. So in order to claim the expense, you have to actually make payment to the interest which is payable to the NBFCs or systematically undertakings under NBFCs. However, these expenditures are allowed as deduction in the year of accrual if the payment thereof is made either in the previous year itself or in the subsequent year on or before the due date of specified for filing of the return. So there is a slight allowance that is given. So if you have made the payment in the previous year or in the subsequent year, you can still claim the expense. Now, since there was an amendment in 43B, subsection BA, which is which includes any sum payable by assessee as interest on loan or advances from depositing NBFCs or systematically important non-BFCs. So just to take this amendment into consideration, the new form has inserted a new row in sorry, in part other information, requiring the assessee to disclose the amount of interest on any loan or advance from the deposit, taking the NBFCs, systematic important non-deposit taking NBFCs, which is disallowed in the previous year, but it is now allowable in the current year, like the return that you're filing. So basically, this is the way they have included any amount disallowed under section 43B in the preceding previous year, but allowable during the previous year. So you have to mention in this, basically any sum payable interest. So you can claim it. The next we're going to talk about Schedule EI, details of exempt income. So there is some additional disclosures that is required to be submitted in case of income exempt under certain clauses of the section. So this is applicable for ITR 5 and even 6. So these are the points that I have mentioned, which are exempt income and which have to be mentioned in the ITR. So the first is exemption to venture capital fund or venture capital company, exemption to investment funds, exemption to business trust, exemption to wholly owned subsidiary of idea or souvenir wealth fund of pension fund, capital gains from transfer of share of company resident in India on account of reallocations of offshore funds, exemption to specified funds. So all these details have to be mentioned here. I've highlighted. So you have to mention any of these exemption income also here, henceforth. Next, we're going to talk about the withdrawal option of section 153A and 153C, which is applicable to ITR 1 to 6. So, sorry, prior to 1st April 21, the search, where the search is initiated under section 132 or the books of account or other documents or any assets are requisition under section 132, an assessment was made in case of assessee or any other person under section 153A and 153C. Now there has been an amendment. So after the amendment, where the search is initiated or requisition is made on or 1st April 21, the assessment, reassessment or recomputation is made under section 147 and the notice for same is issued under 148. So since the assessee shall now file the return in case of such responses, therefore there has been made an amendment in the ITR form. So this is how it looks. So over here you have to mention whether there is a response to which notification. So now you'll have to select 148. So basically these two sections have been removed from the form to update the forms according to the amendment. Next, in the general information, they have added a few more points. So the nature of employment for pensioners. So in that, they have added these things. Pensioners CG, pensioners SG, pensioners PUC and others. I have attached a screenshot to show you that, now there are more options to select that, if the pensioner, so basically the government wants to know that, the pensioner is from the central government, state government, PSU or others. So you have to select this. Next, audit information. Since, I'm sure everyone is aware that, there has been there has been a change in the audit mandatories for turnover, which is, more than 1 crore or 10 crores. I've just mentioned, so I'll just read through it. the audit under Section 44AB is mandatory if the total sales turnover or the gross receipt from the business during the previous year exceeds 1 crore. However, if the cash payments do not exceed 5%, then the turnover, then the mandatory of the total sales turnover or gross receipts, it's 10 crores. Now, for the purpose of computing the limit of 5%, payment or receipt by check drawn on a bank or by bank draft, which is not account, payee shall be deemed to be payment or receipt in cash only. Now, the previous ITR forms did not consider the receipt or payment through non-account payee check or DD. But now, there is an additional disclosure that is required, wherein you have to specifically mention whether the so you can see in this and this whether the total sales turnover or gross receipt is between 1 crore and 10 crores. If not, if it is below 1 crore or exceeds 10 crore. In the new ITR form, it requires the aggregation of receipt and payment, non-account payee or DD while computing the limit of 5%. So you have to mention over here that are you eligible? If yes, no cash is made. So you have to basically just a declaration over here for audit information. Next, like I told you earlier, we are going to discuss about the residential status. So now in the ITR, there has been an amendment in which you have a lot of options to select what type of resident, ordinary resident, non-resident you have. So I'll just read through what all options are available now. So these are the options which are available. In case you're a resident and ordinary resident, then you can select you were in India for 182 days or more. You were in India for 60 days or more. You were a citizen who left India for the purpose. You are a citizen. So basically all the provisions have been captured and you can tick. Sorry. Resident but not ordinarily resident. The options given over here are: you have a non-resident in India 9 out of 10 preceding years. You have been in India for 720 days or less during the 7 preceding years. You are a citizen of India or person of Indian origin who comes to visit in India and exceeds the income of 15 lakh has been 122 days. You are a citizen of India where, exceeding 15 lakhs during the previous year, not liable to tax in any other country, territory. So basically you have so many options to choose from. In case if you're a non-resident, then you can just declare, you have to just give a declaration, which is, the jurisdictions of residence during the previous year, like, where you were resident in the previous year. If he's a citizen of India or a person of Indian origin, he has to specifically mention the total period of stay in India during the previous year and total periods of stay in India during the 4 preceding years. So these are some additional categories that you have to mention in the new ITR forms. So I've just given you a screenshot that in case if you're a resident, you have so many options to select from, like we discussed earlier. Resident but not ordinary, you have to select. And in case if you're a non-resident, you have to mention that you're a resident in which country, and you also have to mention the days, that how many days you were there in the previous year and the previous 4 years. So you have to mention everything. So that's it. I have covered all the 15 amendments that I wanted to discuss. Now, since we have few minutes, if there are any questions, I'll be happy to address them.
The only question we have today is about how can we obtain the interest on Provident Fund? How can we come to know what is the interest on Provident Fund? Like from bank, we get the bank certificate of interest.
Right. So basically, first thing is that, you have to ask the assessee that, how much has he contributed. If he has contributed only 250,000, तो ठीक है. If he suppose, he's contributed, say 3 lakhs. So 50,000 rupees, he's claimed more, he has to just basically bifurcate the interest on that 50,000. So for example, if the interest rate for the current, so the interest rate also changes for the PPF every year, and it's available, or like it's available online, or you can ask any of the government bank. So just an example, if it is 8%, so you have to do a calculation that 2 lakhs, like if you've got say 10,000 rupees, so you have to do the bifurcation के 2,50,000 पे आपको कितना मिला है and 50,000 पे कितना मिला है. So जो 50,000 का जो amount रहेगा, only on that you have to pay tax. So that bifurcation you will have to ask the assessee how much he's contributed, and then you'll have to bifurcate the interest. So that's how you'll have to mention it there.
So we don't have any further questions.
Okay, so then we can end the session then.
Okay.
Thank you very much for patient hearing.
Yeah, thank you, Hinal. Good evening to one and all. It's my privilege to propose vote of thanks this evening. Continuous education and vision to foresee the contemporary scenario are the essence of our profession. I, on behalf of the Women Members Empowerment Committee of ICI, acknowledge the efforts taken by our speaker, CA Hinal Furia. Thank you, Hinal, for updating us on such a very important topic relating to income tax returns. I extend a hearty vote of thanks to Chairperson of WMEC, CA Shri Priya Ma'am, and Vice Chairperson, CA Preeti Savala Ma'am, for this wonderful initiative. Lastly, I wish to thank the audience for patient listening. I think so now we should move to the next session.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hinal. Malvika ma'am, please continue.
Yes. Good evening to everybody. We're very glad to have Ruchi over here. Like all of us, she is also a chartered accountant and specializing in so many areas. I was just reading it twice and thrice. Oh my God, this is really amazing. And I felt really privileged to introduce you, Ruchi. Now just give me 1 second. I'll just read out a few. This initiative itself is so very uplifting, I would say. All the girls coming together and discussing on the various important professional guidelines. Now, coming back to Ruchi, she is an assurance and a risk consultant, entrepreneur, and a mentor and a guide for management personnel. Chartered accountant, of course, since 1997, batch with approximately 2.5 decades of extensive corporate experience. That is really remarkable. In the domain of banking and financial sector, she started a career through campus placement in UTI and subsequently moved to MNC organizations like American Express, Royal Bank of Scotland. Her career journey, very interesting, helped her to rise to senior leadership roles and gain expertise in the fields of internal controls, select compliance, risk management, project management. Her last role was at RBS and was as a vice president, risk and compliances. Ruchi quit the said role in 2019, of course, for better, I know that, to get into setting her own consulting firm and venturing into entrepreneurial world. She assists organizations to build a strong enterprise-wide risk framework with focus on building a risk awareness culture, robust documentation, and implementing strategic controls for improved business efficiencies. She has a flair for new technologies like RPA, blockchain, and supports organizations to evaluate on the same, along with continuing to explore further on the rising fintech domain. We are all waiting for it. Ruchi also conducts mentoring sessions for grooming talents and has also led diversity initiatives within the role she has handled. She takes special emphasis on supporting and guiding the young talent to help achieve their dreams with their own learnings. Like a true leader. She always propagates the importance of financial independence and focuses on educating people on managing personal wealth through her collaboration with the social media venture using YouTube videos and links LinkedIn post. And we are all waiting to hear from Ruchi about all this. Over to you, Ruchi.
Thanks a ton, Malika. I think, Malvika, I'm really honored to be having such a great kind of an introduction. And as you said, it's always a pleasure to be on this platform, because I always feel so close to not only the institute, because that's the alma mater we all come from, but I think it's a special thing to be with all our own female colleagues, female members. It's so nice that, we have such an opportunity. We normally otherwise just talk about women members, but how many times do we get along together? And this platform is really a platform where we can all talk about it. And I really like the way this has been organized. The Wednesday series is what I say sometimes. And this is really an enriching series because it's a good balance between knowledge and your interpersonal skills and other aspects. Because
Absolutely.
in today's time, it is not only the qualification that's going to help you, but it's about the various other aspects that you build along, which actually helps you grow in various aspects. And it's not only professional growth, it's about your own holistic growth as a person, and that's what. Agreed. So really, so thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for the topic, because this topic is also really a great topic. Multitasking. I think one of the feathers that definitely I tell everybody should have in their pockets. Because we don't wear hats nowadays. So I say that's why we need to have this in the pockets. so it's important. And I am going to talk about it. I like a lot all my audience to come up and ask me questions, make it tough for me so that, I am challenged to kind of do my own presentations. And as you read, I love sharing my experiences. So, when we have an open discussion, sharing experiences and knowing how this has helped. And I'm sure when you read my, introduction, it clearly shows the kind of multitasking I've been able to do. And that's why I've not only been limited to finance and accounts, but I've actually moved on to pick things around robotics, around fintech, even in terms of leadership skills, mentoring. These are all things that I've added on to myself along with just being a CA, holding on my core competencies of finance and compliance is what I say. Along with that, I've taken up other aspects also. So I am going to stop babbling around general topics and I'm going to move on to my own topic. So let me share the screen, and it's a really nice topic that we're going to talk about. And this topic, I hope my screen is visible to all. I am going to start. Okay. So multitasking skill is what we all say, right? And in today's time, everything is, multi-layered, multi-cuisine, So, we're all used to so much of multi-aspects on ourselves that even multitasking just goes by, it's, without saying. So, if I just have to talk about, this is something that we call Aaj Ka Nari, and any time when you kind of see a movie which is based on women, anything that is related to women, any ads, or especially on Women's Day when there's a special focus on women, women is really talked to be about a person who is like the super mom, or you can say a super woman, that kind of a view is what we normally get about it. And we all feel proud about it, right? Because I'm sure each of one on this program, being a woman, definitely feel we are dynamic, we are intelligent. Intelligence goes by without saying, because we are chartered accountants, So we are smart, we are energetic, we are tech savvy. In today's world, you have to be tech savvy. And definitely, love, affection, compassion, empathy, they all go together, So definitely, as I say, women is a total package. It is just that how you use the package or how you kind of demonstrate that package differs on situations. So, Aaj Ki Nari is the word that I always say is like, you can rhyme it with anything that you want. Aaj Ki Nari, Sashakt Nari, or you can say Aaj Ki Nari, could be anything that you want to put it depending on the situation. And in today's time or in today's session, I'm going to say that Aaj Ki Nari is the multitasking Nari, right? Because kuch nahi ek karte. I'm sure today also, while you guys are listening to the session, I'm sure there are 10 more things that you're doing parallel, right? You're trying and managing your home, you're trying and managing your workplace, or you're trying and catching your cab or a train or whichever place you are planning to go back home, thinking about what's going to cook at home, various other things. If you have kids, then maybe you're looking at बच्चे का homework हुआ कि नहीं हुआ, छुट्टी है तो where do I take them out, because the kids will start asking what's next, start planning for the weekend. If you have aged parents, multiple things go into our minds, and I think that's a good aspect, definitely, that we all do. We all want to be the today's world, and I'm sure if some of our colleagues or some of my own friends, members today on the session, if they're not working, they might be thinking, oh, I've done my chartered accountancy, but still, I'm not being able to give time to my profession. How do I come back to my profession? So, there are various things that we keep thinking, but how do we really implement and understand that is very important. So I'm going to go slide by slide. These slides are just indicators. These slides are topics and touch points that we will discuss. Details is what I'm going to talk more than what I'm going to show. Okay. So just don't depend on the slide, but hear attentively on the conversation. I'm sure you will resonate to it, because I'm sure each one of you would have gone through such situations, or are facing such situations, or are looking answers to such situations. So, this is where it is. What we all want to be, as mothers, as wives, as, we want to be the super mom. We want to be the number one wife. We want to be an inspirational leader. I'm sure everybody is following, Nirmala Sitharaman as an example, or Indra Nui as an example. Everybody may have their own, ideal lady whom they want to kind of follow. And that's where, if you see, if in today's world, I'm sure everybody is looking at the best entrepreneurs, like Falguni Nair, or maybe the Clovia lady, or even, the Shark Tank females that we had. So in every field, I'm sure each individual today wants to be the best. Whether you want to call it best, whether you want to call it super, you want to call it number one, you want to call, the most loved, admired, inspirational, motivational, हमें अच्छा होना है हर चीज में. I don't think in today's time anybody wants to be an average person. I don't think even we teach our own children or students to say कि यार ठीक है, you be average. Nobody likes being average. What we all want to be is best. We all want to be the superlative degrees, the best adjectives that you want. And हर field में हमें अच्छा ही करना है. But क्या हम सही में अच्छा कर सकते हैं? I'm sure the answer will always be yes, because I do the same thing. I want to be the best. For example, in today's session also, I would want to be the best speaker, right? Sorry, no offense to Feenal as such. Heenal Furia as such, but I think it's just a thing that hum har cheez mein best hona chahte hain. So that's the reason I'm saying. But, to be that, or to be the best, do we know really what do we want, what do we need to do? ठीक है, हम चाहते तो हैं कि हम best बन जाए. So I'm sure if you would have thought, as when you wanted to become a CA, like, let's go back, step back into our journeys, and every stage of life you had some goals, some thought, which you had to achieve. And how did you really achieve that? So what you wanted was, what was your wish? What it took to make the wish as a complete wish, and did you follow the path, right? These are some of the basic steps I'm sure everybody knows, everybody does, but it's just that those puzzles sometimes don't fit in at the right time. And if they don't fit in at the right time, you don't move forward. So today is also one of the part of the puzzle, which is multitasking. If I have to become a super mom, what does a super mom means? Super mom just does not mean that, I am just taking care of my mom. Just taking care of my kids. A super mom is a mom who's not only taking care of the kids, but is also supporting the kids in their own, achievements, whether it's their homework, whether it's their projects, whether it's the food that they like. Maybe you don't know cooking, but you learned cooking because your child wanted it. So that's how you develop multiple aspects within yourself to become a super mom, right? Or maybe if you want to become the best employee of your company, as an example, then you have to be best not only at your own work, but you have to be best at various other aspects. And that's why there is not one line that will make you the best. You have to kind of conquer the world to be best, right? So what we really need to be the best, if I just have to put it around, yes, multiple things required. Definitely, if I have to talk from a professional environment, and not only professional environment, in any other environment. So if I was taking an example about being a mom, the qualification needs to be, and a mom's qualification is nothing but able to support the child in every fashion and every way, whether it's dance, whether it's elocution, whether it is language, whether it is any other aspects, everything you need to be there to support the child. So what I say, and now coming back to our corporate world or a professional forum, what I would say is these are like you can say the masala or the spice that you need to add to achieve what you want. Right. So qualification, the timing, the opportunity that you need to have, your networking capabilities, your multitasking skills, the technology support that you had, the time management that you had to do, the leadership learnings or lessons or traits that you had to pick up, empathy, and I think I focus a lot on the softer skills of, empathy, because that really has a major impact on a lot of other aspects, right? Because empathy helps you in terms of networking, empathy helps you in terms of your leadership skills, about people management, and various others. And without, a doubt, continuous learning or upskilling is very, very important. I just can't say that I'd learned something in, in my CA days and I'm still going to be using it. Lots of things have changed. I'm sure you heard it. I've kind of qualified in 1997, which is around 25 years now. And a lot of things have become redundant from my course or syllabus perspective, if I have to talk, right? Indirect taxes has changed, GST has come. So I have to upskill myself to know that so that I can do it. But, those are just all the masalas. But today, I think I'm going to concentrate on one very, very important topic is about multitasking. Right? Others are also important, but I'm sure we'll cover them as part of the journey. I think two things definitely as women, sometimes we don't really do great is multitasking, and the other one is networking. So I'm sure somewhere down the session, down the series, I will ask, the women member committee to focus on a session on networking, because that's also a very important topic, and maybe that can be picked up later. But today, yes, coming back, today's topic is multitasking, right? And why is that an important element for our professional growth, personal growth, is what we will focus upon. We will also focus upon how do I really build up, right? And I'm sure there will be a question saying that you did mention that women are multitaskers. Then why are we learning it? But the other part that I would like to mention is we are multitaskers, but we don't focus that multitasking skill that we inherently have in the right way, is what I feel. So it's just and I'm sure if people are spiritual here, a lot of people will know that Hanumanji, as an example, did forget about his own strengths, so he had to be recollected with it so that he could help Sri Ram to help his goal, or achieve his goal. So similarly, I think the session today is to bring out the same inherent skill or task that each of us as women own, but maybe we're not using it in the right manner. So I am just going to kind of say, with my chisel and, hammer, just kind of going to bring that out in each of you so that you all know that you have it, but you just display it to the world and reach your goal or achieve your objective. Okay, so that's what we're going to focus upon. So now I've been talking about multitasking, but what really is multitasking? Right. अगर मैं आज के बाद time में बोलूं, so I'm sure your computer or your phone is also a place where you look for multitasking. When you look for buying a new tech instrument, the first thing that they talk about is the processor speed, about how many things that they can handle at a time, what's the multitasking ability that they have. So what it means in a simple layman dictionary language, if I have to say, is multitasking is the ability to do multiple things at the same time. I'm sure if you've seen, magicians, not magicians, I should say, you've seen clowns or maybe jugglers at many times, you would see them rolling, balls. And when they start rolling balls or, juggling with balls or maybe, the pens that they use, they start with two things, right? And then they keep adding 3, 4, and 5 to show you that, okay, at first that maybe the juggler was only comfortable with doing two balls together. Then he added one more and then took the third one. Then he added another one and took the fourth one. So what it indirectly says is that you can do multiple things at the same time, but it's just the rhythm that needs to be built. And today what we're going to learn, or maybe we're going to pick up, is about how to build that rhythm, right? Because if I'm sure, and I'm just giving you this as an example, that if a juggler is juggling and you ought to, just haphazardly throw a ball at him or her, whoever the juggler is, then he may not be able to balance three things. So similarly, if we start putting more stuff to people, then they will not be able to pick it up unless and until they're prepared for it. So same thing as women, we are multitaskers, but we can't take things all of a sudden. We need to be prepared. We need to know what we're picking up, what are the tasks at hand, and we'll talk about how to build that rhythm for ourselves. Okay. Now you're talking about, I've mentioned here about human multitasking. What does that mean? So coincidentally, with the growth in technology and a lot of words being used, collectively on various other aspects. So multitasking is a word that's really picked up by the technology world, if I have to say. So in today's time, if you kind of, search the dictionary or you depend on Wikipedia or Google, as we all do half the time in our whole day life, I think even asking basic questions, Siri ko use karte hain, and we don't practically depend on our own people. So similarly, if you talk about multitasking as such, the computer is going to give you the answer, which what does a computer, a telephone, a cell phone, or any other technological aspect would be doing on multitasking. And when a person does multiple things, simultaneously, or maybe does some activities together, then that's called human multitasking. Okay, so which means that if I have to again read the Wikipedia language of it, it says human multitasking is the concept that one can split their attention on more than one task or activity at the same time, such as speaking on the phone while driving a car. Again, not recommended, but you definitely end up doing that. Or maybe sending an email while talking on the phone, or maybe dropping your kids to school or cooking for the family. And I'm sorry, but I try and use a lot of personal examples or examples which relate to all of us on a personal end, because that I feel hits harder, because corporate could be different for each of you. So that's why. So what it really means is multitasking means doing multiple tasks, and multiple tasks means more than two or more than a single task where you're doing, together, or maybe planned to do it together with your attention. Again, definitely when we're doing multiple things together, you will not be giving 100% of your attention on there, right? So that's what is multitasking. Again, the whole benefit of doing multitasking is it helps you to do more. And when you do more, what you do is you balance a lot of things. You become the kind of superwoman or the super lady, if I have to put that, just to be kind of cognizant that we may have younger girls also on this platform attending the session. So it's more of that we kind of take care. And again, why is that required? As an example, as I said, in today's time, you study, you work, you help your parents, your family. You sometimes actually do projects for your siblings. You also kind of, are supporting your parents in terms of a business, or maybe in today's time you're working and you're an entrepreneur also. Or maybe it's just because you have a passion, you love singing, dancing, and you want to kind of do that simultaneously with your work profile. Why not? And especially if I have to say, in today's time, the social media is actually taking a lot of things out there. People love, I've seen a lot of CAs also doing multiple stuff, and that's important, right? The world's shrinking. I think people in today's time have so much to do, and they feel that, why doesn't God really extend the hours in a day? I'm sure a lot of you actually think at the time of deadlines that I wish I had a day which was more than 24 hours, right? But that can't happen. So what can happen is that how within the same time of 24 hours, you manage multiple tasks, right? And that is possible. It is not that it is not possible. It is just that how do you manage this and plan for it, right? So what really, and I'm just kind of going to talk about women as such, and as I said, women have a natural instinct, right? And I think I say that a lot in my seminars and my sessions when I do it, not only for women, but also for men. And we talk about such things. Being into corporate myself, and, I've traveled long distances, being in Delhi, working in Gurgaon, stuck in traffic jams, which were not planned, had to pick up tasks, which, all of a sudden had to be done at a time where I was stuck in traffic. I was supposed to be at a place, but because of the traffic, I couldn't reach that place, but I had to manage that out. And how did I manage doing it without physically being there is what we're going to talk about it. And I think it's kind of in my blood is sometimes what I say, it's because or maybe if I have to say, put it in a different manner, the way I would say it is that, I maybe have developed it so much over a period, or maybe I've developed and practiced it so much that it's become a part of my blood by now, and so multitasking becomes automatic for me. But yes, so I am not unusual, if I have to put it in a manner. And what I mean is, because I come from the same, gender class, like all of you, which is the women or the softer gender that we all have, automatically, we are all multitaskers. And I think God has been, very kind to have blessed us with it, and I think this is a situation which I would like to mention, and I'm sure all of you will definitely agree with me that half our brain is, practically divided unknowingly or knowingly into professional and personal. 50% of whatever our thought is on a level, depending on your requirements, depending on the situations, it does go, 80-90% to on your professional front, and then 10-20% on your personal front when you're hardcore into a deliverable. But definitely that changes when it's a weekend, or maybe it's a holiday, and then you want to forget the office and be more on your personal side. And definitely we are able to switch gears, or in other words, some of the people do say that, women are good at, shutting off and shutting on. But that's important, right? The reason being is we can't really carry on a lot of things, and I'm sure you all believe that, the brain space is that much. आप जब तक उसको खाली नहीं करोगे, or maybe you don't unlearn or you take away your mental thought out of something, only then you will be able to put more tasks, right? So if in a day you have got 12 tasks, I'm sure all the 12 tasks don't have the same timelines for delivery. Mornings are very different, the afternoons are different, evenings are different. So definitely in the morning when you get up, maybe you have 12 things, but as the day goes by, you subtract a couple of tasks and you add a couple of tasks, right? So the list keeps changing, but yes, that is there, and that's what it kind of goes on. And I say it's a God's gift, right? I do believe that God has been kind to have blessed us with it, right? And I'm sure, as women and playing, and especially, sorry, but not being very, I would say, biased, but I think somewhere down the line, being Indian definitely helps us that, women, or as girls or as child also, we kind of take up multiple roles, you know. Even while we are younger, in our schooling days, we are the ones who kind of help our parents, mothers in the kitchen. We help our friends, we have more of the help attitude that we kind of come with. So automatically teacher be, in a school, even if you are in a co-ed school, I'm sure the teacher will always ask a female or a girl to kind of help the teacher, rather than a guy at times. So because they know that the girls will not say no, and they will definitely deliver on what's required. So, and each stage of life we've delivered, we've handled those multiple roles, we've delivered at each stage of life. And, I'm sure a lot of research also is supported on it. The research, and there's, unlimited research that's there. And this requirement of actually multitasking, sometimes if I say, is actually self-created also. I think it was the women itself who wanted to kind of stand ahead, stand shoulder to shoulder with the men guys, right? We wanted to say that we have the ability. You just don't treat us like, just the homemakers. We can balance more. We can be homemakers. We can be corporate makers also. So we have done that, and we've taken. And again, to say, if we took the task to prove ourselves, we've proven ourselves, right? So it's not that we can't do it. It is just that we have to think about it. And that's where I say, that instinct is there in us. It is just that we don't nurture it at times. And if people are facing the challenge of multitasking, it is only because you're not nurtured your own ability, which is hidden within you. So please, I request each one of you to kind of find that out within yourself, look for it within yourself, maybe start with you. I am going to share how do you develop this multitasking, what could be your mantras, or what could be your own formulas. Everybody has their own formula, and we're going to talk about it as we go forward. But yes, these are things that definitely help us to be the natural instinct owners, or maybe you can say natural multitaskers, or born multitaskers, as I say. The other thing which I think adds up, to our crown, or you can say a jewel in the crown, is about our softer skills, right? Our compassion, as I said, our empathy, as I said, our eye for detail, as as we are there, about the concern, about going over and beyond. These are some of the skills that, as women we possess, and that definitely helps us to multitask, right? We are shy, yes. And I think being shy also is another reason why we multitask. And this is in a little bit sarcastic manner. The reason is sometimes we are not able to say no to things. We just happen to say yes to whatever comes our way. So when we say yes, and as women, we don't, ever lose. We always kind of over deliver to what we commit, and hence we go over and above on our stuff. And hence it's very, 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 very important. And I'm sorry, but I'll keep repeating the word very for us, because it's like a no-brainer skill that we need to have to be a multitasker, right? So now I think I've blabbered a lot around it, but as we all know, there's always two sides of a coin. If I have to see the side that I see, I don't ever find a lot of negatives in multitasking. I see that as a positive aspect, because as I said, I have personally taken a lot of advantages, or I've got a lot of benefits, or maybe I have grown a lot because I had the multitasking skill. So I don't think there's any negative, but yes, I am on a forum where I should share both the sides. So I'm sharing with you what people have to say, or what and sometimes it's the other gender that has to say that, but that's why multitasking is not important. But nevertheless, to say it's how you look at it. It's about the half glass empty or a half glass full kind of a situation. So the ways I see it, the positives or the pros that I feel that influence multitasking is definitely it helps saves time. It kind of helps you do multiple things. You at times, when I look back and I kind of see things, and I feel, oh, was I really able to manage so many things at the same time? And it feels proud today. But yes, at that time, I even didn't know I was doing so many things. And just to kind of quote an example, I've done my chartered accountancy through foundation, right? So I at times even say that to a lot of students today, that I would do my college in the morning, because we were allowed to do regular college at that time in 1990s. So I did my regular college in the morning. Then I would go to my articleship and I would study also, and I would give my exams. And I was blessed to have been cleared my chartered accountancy in the first go. So I did so many things and still was able to find time for myself. But can I really? And that was a time where we didn't have technology at all. Having physical classes, no online classes or Google Drive classes were there at that point. No easy, communication was available. We at times there were situations where we reached the class in the morning, and then so would very rarely that would happen, but it would happen that the class would start a bit late, and we would think, yeah, if we knew it, we would sleep another 15-20 minutes more. But that was the situation at that point in time. So just to cut the story short, is what I mean is, these things helps to do more. You kind of unreveal your own potential. Multitasking challenges you every time, and once you deliver, you feel more proud about it. Oh, how did I manage so many things together? People around you appreciate you. Oh wow, such a great talent that you have. Definitely brings in flexibility for people. You're able to balance your work life, and let innumerable kind of advantages that are there. And as all your senses, time management, change management, everything kind of grows. Your capability to manage a lot of stuff enhances. So that keeps going and going and going. So I think I can keep going with the list of the positives or the pros that I feel. But yes, there are some people who look on the other side of things, or maybe I can say the negatives or the cons that associate with multitasking. And a lot of people say that no, it's somewhere actually kind of the quality is not to the level that we would expect, because people are multitasking. They don't give full attention. They just are half-heartedly into their work. But people don't understand that multitasking is not about not giving attention, but it is giving attention to the activity at that point in time, and then shifting your attention to another activity quickly with preparedness earlier. And we'll talk about it as we go forward. Some people say it increases stress because it's always in my mind that I have 10 more things to do. Again, that can be managed, and we're going to look at it, how we can do. Some people say we lose our sleep because of it. So erratic, and too much of planning. I'm wasting a lot of time just planning, but my execution is not happening. So these are some of the kind of concerns people have. But the defense I have against these negatives is that you don't plan things out well. You don't really follow or embrace multitasking in the manner and shape it is supposed to be. Okay, and I'm sure you're going to say that, Ruchi has been talking about it for so long, but what really should we do? मुद्दे पे तो आओ मैडम, अगर आपको बात करनी है तो. So I think now I'm going to come, but yes, these things were important for you guys to know, because of the fact that if you don't know the story or you don't know the background of things, you will not be able to weigh the positives and the negative, or you may not be able to apply the rules or may apply the formulas into your activities, right? Because if you just hear and you say, okay, you've got 12 things to do in a day, then automatically it'll create stress for you. But if you have a manner in which you can manage those 12 things, then there's no stress, right? So what I want is, you need to understand the formula that we are going to talk about in the coming slides. You need to know what those things are, so that you will be able to apply it in the right manner. And I'm sure once you start applying it, so multitasking, as I said at the start, is not something कि आपने एक बार try किया, चल गया तो ठीक है, नहीं तो it's gone. It's not like that. It is about doing it repeatedly, continuously, and then you will master it over a period, right? So as an example, you can say like martial arts ho gaya, or maybe cooking ho gaya, or even any new skill that you take. Say for example, even Excel skills as an example. The first day when you learn Excel skills, they go bouncers, right? Because you don't know it, but you practice them, and you practice them regularly on live environment, on your Excel files, on your or maybe presentation skills, any skill that you kind of pick up or you learn, you have to practice it. And only once you start practicing it, you understand what works for you, and what uh, I would say formula works for you, and then you kind of tweak it. Because what we're going to talk about is generic, right? It applies to everybody, but a certain tweak is required for each individual, right? For example, people who love coffee, everybody loves tea or coffee, but do everybody have the same tea or coffee? No, right? Somebody has less sugar, somebody has more sugar, somebody has less milk, somebody has no milk. You have a variety of things that you can do to make your tea good for you. So similarly, to make this skill work for you, you will need to understand what works for you, how it works for you, and hence you will have to apply it on various aspects, and then see what has worked, and then tweak your formula or create your formula to give you success. Okay, so that's what the basis. So now let's talk about real masala of today's session, which is how should I develop a multitasking skill? Okay, so I'm sure a lot of this that you will read through will say, oh ye to humko pata tha. So the question is not कि आपको पता था या नहीं पता था. The question is not about whether you knew it or you didn't know it. The question is, how do you apply it, or what does this really mean in a situation, or what do you really need to do with this formula or tips that we're sharing about. So the first thing is, before and I'm sure this is something which is common for anything that you have to do. So you need to know what is the thing that you're aiming forward to, right? So if, for example, if you wish to become a super mom, you first need to know what's the definition of a super mom. That what does your child look for you in a super mom? Or if I have to put it differently, and I say, if I have to become the CEO or the CFO of my company, and what really do I need to do to be there? What are the skill sets that I need to do? What are the areas that I need to handle, right? Only knowing accounting, does that mean that I am the CFO of a company? No, it does not mean that, right? To be a CFO of a company, I not only I need to know definitely the ground, which is my accounting and the finance skill that I have, but definitely I need to know the business that the company does, right? How can I support my business guys to earn more, or save more, understand the cost cutting aspects, understand compliance aspect, understand MIS and reporting formats, understand the global dynamics about that company that you are in or the business that you are in. How is that going to help out, right? So first and foremost, for anything that we do in life, for any aim that we have in life, we need to know what are the areas, what are the things that we really need to handle. Do we really have 12 things, as I've been talking about in various examples? I may have 12 things to handle, but are they really 12? Or have I really bifurcated them in very, very small brackets, right? So first make a list of what really do I need to handle, and how do I, what is my, and I'm sure if people are into corporate life, people know that your KRAs are defined every year, or your key responsibility areas are being defined. And in that, you've been told that this is what you are expected to achieve if you are want to be, at least an achiever for the year. This is the level that the company is expecting from you to be delivered. So that's what is important, that first, understand what are the areas or the things that you need to handle. Define what you need to handle, right? Because say, for example, the 5 things that I have on hand is like maybe I'm going to give my own example. As I said, today I am an entrepreneur myself. I do 5 different things. So when I say 5 different things as an example, I am a consultant supporting 2 companies in terms of their compliance aspects. I do YouTube videos as an example. I do LinkedIn posts as an example. I mentor a couple of students, and I do ICAI sessions. So these are, say, for the 5 things that I have to do. So I need to do, what are the 5 things that I need to handle? What am I expecting from each one of them? What is the timeline or the frequency of my delivery, right? Say, for example, the event I'm doing today, and say I am a regular speaker on the WMEC session, then I know that my deliverable is only every Wednesday because this session is going on. So I may need to prepare for my time duration between, say, 5 to 7. And I need to know that during the 5 and 7 session, when I am with WMEC, I am not doing any other aspect. So which means that whatever is key at this point in time, say, for example, if I am supposed to go and pick up my child from a swimming class right now because the class gets over at 6 and I can't go, then I need to know that what is the alternative for it, right? And if I'm able to deliver that aspect without my physically being there, is what I am multitasking. Multitasking does not mean physically being present. It is about delivering the tasks that you have in hand. Okay, so definitely understanding what are the areas that you need to handle, defining what you need to achieve from each of it, understanding the frequency at which you have to deliver. Okay, making your priority chart, because everything may not have priority every day. So for example, in today's day, I may have 5 priorities, but all the 5 priorities may have a different timeline. Something would be prioritized in the afternoon, something is prioritized in the evening. Maybe I have a party at night in the evening today. So that's prioritized at night, right? So I need to prioritize and know what's the activity that I need to deliver upon. Again, understand complete resources that you have at hand or any support that you have available, right? So if I'm not going, but my driver is available, I can send my driver to pick my child back from a swimming class. I don't have to hassle myself because I'm able to use the resource I have. But I just think, oh, no, I am the superwoman. I have to go and deliver. No, that's not what it is. You need to understand what resource can be used at what point in time. That's important. Okay. If I have to go on and says, sometimes it could be possible that the plan that I had in mind did not work over. Say, for example, my driver was supposed to go, but my car's actually had a flat tire. So what's my backup plan? I can't leave the session in between because I have so many people and viewers listening to me. So what I have a backup plan? Do I have a friend whom I can go and ask, or I can call up and say, please get my child also? And this is just an example for home, but similarly, a lot of things happen, in professional front also. And I'll give you a same example that I had. And, I like quoting examples because these are examples which we can all learn from. And okay, I think I lost a connection in between, so but I think we're all on again. Yeah, so I was just giving a live situation, and I was saying that when I was leading a role in American Express, I had a very critical resource actually leaving, leaving the company, and it was his last day, and that was the day where it was Karwa Chauth also. And as you all know, being women, that's a very auspicious festival. We all need to be back home for a prayer, opening up of the fast, looking at doing all the ceremonies and stuff. But that day happened to be such a bad day because the person who was leaving had to hand over a lot of tasks, and that was not complete, and I, being a very, perfectionist freak, didn't want to leave anything because I knew that the person who's leaving will not be available from tomorrow. And if I don't take up stuff, uh, you know, handed, I do not get the things handed over in a perfect fashion, then it may hamper my process in the go forward situation. So my husband was supposed to come and pick me up from office, and I had to call him up and say, I'm sorry, but I can't come home early. I think I will be in office till 10 p.m. I will continue my fast. I will reach home and then open up my fast. But you go home, manage my in-laws, because, we had a couple of, family guys also coming over. So, but yes, that was the backup plan or a layover plan. I had to switch over and then arrange for a cab for myself and then go back to work. So what I mean to say is sometimes you have to change your plans at the last moment, but you need to be well prepared in terms of what that backup plan will be. Because if you don't have it in mind, then us time pe you will not get it. Your brain is not going to work at the last moment. So somewhere having a backup plan or a layover plan is very, very important, right? And again, just to counter the one of the cons that people say, that people are distracted, I think what I do is, when I am at a particular task, I am 100% into that task. I don't think about anything else. I don't get distracted. So don't get distracted while, say, you're doing task A. Don't think about task B. Don't think how task B is going to manage. You first complete your task A, and our brain is a very magical and a wonderful, what to say, machine that we all have. It does help you to kind of give you ideas at the right time when you need them. So don't get distracted. Do a task when you're doing it. When you move on to the next task, then automatically your brain will be prepared to pick that task. And hence you will have your concentration. You will not move away from it. Okay. The other thing is, while you're multitasking, don't become a robot, as I say, because you're just jumping on, yahan se gaye, wahan gaye, moving on to the next one. But in between, have time for yourselves. Take a break, take a coffee break, take a quick 5-minute power nap break, or whatever suits you to energize you. Just do it. Just staring out of your window helps you rejuvenate. Do that. Take those breaks in between, because that's not going to hamper you. That's going to give you the additional speed that you can build upon. Okay. The other thing is, don't take everything on yourself. Don't put your, it's good to kind of put up your hand for new projects, new assignments, new activities at work, but don't do that so much that you kind of, are totally into it. Or if you take it, then take it on the strength of your team. Learn to delegate to your team. Learn to kind of use them in the right manner. And again, delegation could be with your own people, could be with your family, could be with your kids, could be with anybody around you, but don't get scared of delegation. I've seen people getting scared of delegation. They feel that, if we delegate, the credit will go away. No, the credit never goes away. If you're genuine to your work, your supervision is as essential as doing the task, because delegation is not taking away the responsibility. The ownership will still remain with you. You will have to give the same quality that is expected from you. It is just the execution is being done by somebody else whom you can guide to deliver in the way that you would have done if you were doing the task. Right? So very, very important, delegation. And the other thing is, make multitasking as a routine or a habit. Once you start doing it regularly, you start practicing it regularly, it becomes very, very simple. It does not seem to be multiple tasks. It just seems like same task, just broken up into pieces, right? You are just doing multiple pieces of the same task is what you will start feeling. People around you will be used to it, to know that, okay, fine, ma'am will do so many things, and we have to be ready to be, support her on that journey. Because the credit you will get as a leader, you will share that credit with the other people, and they will be equally happy to participate in the same deliverable and be successful with you, and that's very, very, very important. So, and these are just guidelines. Some of these you can use it as part of it. Again, it is not necessary. You can limit it only to 10. It can be 12, it can be 15. You can just break them down further. Some people like making, in the initial, when you're starting to get into multitasking, you might like to kind of create, I would say, like a calendar of events. You may want to make timeline aspects. You may like to make charts of yours and various other things, but over a period, you will see that things are automatically happening. When I say automatically happening, it's not that they're automatically happening. It's just that you don't have a lot of paperwork or preps to be done. Your mind will be so glued that it will start delivering and creating those things for you. It will start making the plans for you even before you started to sit down on your table and prepare a plan. So that's what the magic will be. You will kind of see the benefits of it that will come over. Okay. Now, the one and most important thing that I'd like to say is, don't make multitasking as a force. Don't do it because, it was discussed in today's session. Don't do it because my neighbor used to do it. It doesn't mean, somebody else is doing 10 things, you also have to do 10 things, right? It could be that you're just doing 2 things and you're happy with it. You need to know what's the, if I just have to put it as a metaphor, I would just like to say, you need to know kaun se tare aapko todne hain, which are the stars in the sky that you want to kind of collect. You need to know what are the achievements that you want for yourself, and then plan it, right? It's okay to do one by one. There's nothing wrong in it. It is just that if you are in a habit and you want to run the race with everybody, then multitasking does help. Right. And again, multitasking is not only about achieving a lot of things. It can be very simple things. Even in today's time, right? We multitask at home, and I'm sure the COVID pandemic has taught us that, right? With work from home being available, or not even work from home. The first lockdown that happened, when all of a sudden, our house helps and others didn't come to do all the tasks together, was again multitasking, right? Sweeping, mopping, cooking, cleaning, everything we did, right, for ourselves, exercising, taking care of everything. So we did that, right? So it's not that it is only work that needs to have multitasking situation being applied. Okay, so be prepared, know what your situation is, know how you can do it, right? And as I said at the start, we don't wear hats, so we don't have to put a feather to our hat, but definitely these are some of the skills that we need to develop. One of it being multitasking, the others being like networking, change management, people management, very, very important. And if we kind of do multitasking, and I or not, it's vice versa. If you're able to network, I'm sure you're able to multitask also, because you need time for that too. If you are multitasking, then definitely you have an opportunity to develop other skills also, is what I say. And I think I did mention that earlier, that the formula is not the same. The ingredients are the same, the logics are the same, but it's up to you that how you make your formula. You may need a little more of planning, less of execution, or maybe you need a lot of more delegation to kind of mix alag ho sakta hai. Your combination can be different, but yes, it is important to create that formula for yourself, because it, like, as you cook, there is, if you're a good chef, aapke skills aapke apne hote hain, right? Your masala is your own masala, right? So that's why it's important that you pick up what's right for you and then implement. And uh, as I said, it is not something that आपको compulsorily multitasking करना ही करना है, right? You can make it a choice. You can decide whether you want to do it or not. But yes, multitasking skill is a good skill, right? Because in any situation, say for example, if you're doing something for, maybe you have a wedding at home, even the wedding, preps need multitasking, right? There are so many aspects to be looked off in a wedding, so definitely you need to have multitasking skills even there. So definitely it's a skill which is definitely good to have. It helps you in bad situations, in thick and thins. It helps you to save time, as I said, but the choice is all yours. The choice is upon you to decide whether you want it completely owned or you don't want it. You want to do it in parts. Maybe you want to do multitasking only for some aspects and not for the other aspects. You want to apply for your corporate situations. You don't want to apply for your personal situation, vice versa. Anyways, anything. But that's a skill, if you have, will definitely help you. So I think that's all from me. And I think I've done a lot of talking. Any questions, any thoughts, open for inputs from people. Happy to take questions if any. So that's it.
Yeah, there are a few questions.
Yeah, sure. Happy to take that.
One of the question is, how useful is mind maps for multitasking?
I think a good point, and I think I missed while mentioning that, because technology in today's time, or online support, has been really gone up. There are a lot many applications and various aspects that are used in terms of helping people in enhancing their multitasking capabilities. And mind maps is also a part of that. It is just that you need to know how you're going to apply it. As an example, if I have to very And I think I did touch upon it unknowingly somewhere, saying that, your mind is a magical machine, as I say, because half the work is what it already does. The mind really knows what are the things that you have to do. It's just that you have to feed it well. If you give it a timely notification of what it needs to deliver, it will deliver. So it's like training your mind in the right manner will definitely help.
True, very true. One more question coming up is, how does digital detox help?
See, digital detox, I don't think it is from a multitasking perspective, but yes, the only advantage of digital detox is that it gives you time, right? A lot of time just goes off in knowing what other people are doing on the social media, right? You're busy on your phone looking at maybe conversations about posts that people have been doing, and which means that you're losing time, right? Even it's that 5-10 minutes that you've spent on looking at your digital medium, whether it's Insta, Twitter, any of the social medium, you are actually spending time. So if you're away from the digital medium, definitely it frees up time for you. It makes you think independently rather than being forced to think on what the feeds are coming as. So definitely detox helps. Any kind of detox, whether it's a digital detox or the other detox that you have on the other side. So yeah.
What to do if multitask itself are creating distraction?
As I said, multiple tasks don't create distraction. Multiple tasks need to be managed in a manner so that they don't. So, everybody will have multiple things. It is just prioritizing or ordering them in the right manner will help you. And I'm sure all of us here who have been successful, and again, success does not mean being at a position or anything, just being able to do a couple of things also on one particular day. End of the day, agar पूरे दिन के बाद आपको रात को लगे कि wow, it was a great day, is success. It is not about being at a position is only success. But yes, doing more than what you felt you were capable of doing is success. And that can only happen if you are organized and planned. So same thing, multiple tasks को आपको सिर्फ plan और organize करना है तो automatically stress नहीं होगा.
And the main thing which I would like to add to this is nowadays technology is a boon for us to sharpen our skills and do multitasking. So we're very fortunate that way. So
that's why I said, a lot of time, technology in today's time has helped us save a lot of time. For example, this session could be not a virtual session and a physical session. Agar ye physical session hota, to imagine the time people would have spent in terms of travel. And that would also have, so, virtual has its benefits, personal has its own benefits also. Yes, we are not connecting with people face to face. That's different. But yes, if I have to say, digitalization, globalization have benefited a lot. Today, we can connect with people. We can learn from people who are sitting so, miles and miles apart. So that's definitely a benefit.
I think so. We are done with the questions. So let us wind up the session now.
I really thank for such a great time, and sorry, I think I've taken more than an hour, but I think I am beneficial to Heenal Furia to have taken less so that I could kind of do more of blabbering around.
A balance is not something you find, it's something you create. I think so. This is the takeaway message from the session today. Excellence is not a destination, it's a continuous journey that never ends. To achieve excellence, one needs to have a multidimensional approach and become a multitasker. Our today's speaker, CA Ruchi Maheshwari, has aptly covered all the aspects relating to this topic. Thank you, Ruchi, for providing valuable inputs for strengthening our skills. You were really wonderful. We enjoyed the session like anything. And in fact, we couldn't even realize it was a virtual session. It was so live. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Atana.
A big thank you to
My
visionary leaders.
pleasure.
A big thank you to visionary leaders of Women Members Empowerment Committee, CA Shri Priya Kumar ma'am and CA Preeti Savla ma'am for this novel and exciting session. I also thank the coordinators of today's session, CA Dharni Kenya and CA Malvika Mitra. Thank you, audience, for your virtual presence. Thank you so much. Bye.